I nearly didn't speak today, actually quite selfishly, because I didn't want to open up that wound and that heartache that we all felt on June 18th. I thought if I just pressed ahead and suppressed those emotions that maybe somehow they'd magically vanish, and they didn't. And besides, Robert Dow will haunt me until it's my turn to cross if I didn't get a grip on those emotions and speak tonight, because he asked me to several times while he was ill. Here's what Robert Dow wanted me to say. Robert Dow is as brilliant as Einstein. He is as handsome as Matt Damon. And he is as charming as Cary Grant. Now I'm going to say what I want to say now. And please don't make my lights flicker at home anymore. That's what he told me he would do if I didn't speak. He was going to make my lights flicker. And if the lights flicker now, I'm really going to get it. There are certain people that come into our lives at different stages of our lives, and maybe we're all predestined to meet, I don't know. But we became, and I think I hear this often, we became very good friends instantaneously. Dow changed the way I looked at life and the way I looked at death. I first met Robert in 2008 while I was campaigning with Frank Barbieri. Now, I'm probably not supposed to tell this story, but I'm going to take a page from Robert Dow's book, and I'm going to tell it anyways. But I remember standing in the back of the CTA meeting room with Frank, and I remember I leaned over and said, "Was this guy in the theater?" Because he had such presence, such great speaking ability, and such command of the audience. So soon after, Robert and I knocked heads a little bit because CTA had committed to endorse Frank, but a little later on, a teacher candidate emerged. Well, Dow phoned to say that they were going to go with the teacher candidate, and obviously at that time they didn't know Frank at all very well, so he was an unknown entity. Well, of course, I debated it with Dow. I would call him every day, and I would go meet with him and have coffee. And every time we'd repeatedly have this debate, I always left there laughing. Dow was your friend, even if you had opposing views. Well, as luck would have it, that teacher was eliminated in the primaries. So about 10 p.m. the night of the primary, my cell phone rang. With a very sheepish voice on the other end of the phone, it was Dow saying, "I've had a wee change of heart as far as who I want for the school board, and Frank's our man." Well, we laughed hysterically for about 5 minutes, I think, and I really missed those phone calls and those laughs. Turmoil seeped into our district in 2009, and my friendship with Dow strengthened because we just happened to always sit in the boardroom together. And those were the days when there were only like 15 people in the board meetings, and we would vent our frustrations. And he'd, again, make me laugh quite a bit. In fact, there were many times I thought I'd get tossed out. Amidst that turmoil, a few months later, came Dow's devastating diagnosis. And I know many of you know this, but Dow worked throughout his chemo. He was relentless, he was incredible, and he was tenacious. He always put children and teachers ahead of himself, always. He joked about being on the phone so much at the hospital that his doctors thought he was booking numbers. So while he was hospitalized, Dow would phone me to go over my speeches. I'd say to him, "Look, focus on your health." And he'd inevitably tell me to shut up and that he wasn't dead yet. And then he would tell me to get over there and share his Jell-O squares. He hated those Jell-O squares. If anybody, he hated them. Dow epitomized the true essence of a leader. He was a man of passion, of clarity. He was a communicator extraordinaire. He was a man of great optimism and great compassion. Even when his own life was slipping away, He was a mentor and an advisor to many people. Even if you didn't seek advice, you would get advice from Robert Dow. For me personally, he was a great cheerleader. He would push me to do and go beyond what I thought I could do. Robert was a giant among teachers and in the union. He was a giant in the community, and he was a giant influence on all of us here. When I think of the stories he shared with me about tremendous adversity in his young life and all that he endured and survived, and his rough and tumble background and his many occupations, it was as though he lived the life of 20 men who all lived to be 100 years old. It was really incredible. Robert Dow lived life to the fullest with great, great gusto. He always sought to right injustices wherever he went, and he didn't care whether that looked wrong politically or socially, but he wanted to right wrongs. This world has lost an extraordinary human being. To Sharon and to Robert's 2 children and grandchildren, I pray you find comfort in knowing that he made the world a much better place for many people. And he was destined for greatness. There's no doubt in my mind that he didn't soar straight to heaven, and I'm sure he's busy right now watching over and guiding you and all of us. Thank you.